Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. You're able to be around Coach Thomas, another guy, Coach Ryan, and then probably like me, you go to clinics, you read books, you listen to podcasts, whatever it is. What's one quality that you see in great leaders?
The ability to confront their mistakes, fix their mistakes, and be humble about it with their teams or with their entire program, maybe parents included. There's been times where, we're in a game, we get in game flow, a guy's sitting a little bit too far down the bench, and maybe we're not successful and we don't win that game. And I look back and I say, man, I needed more rebounds. Or I needed this. I needed energy. I should have went with that guy. And I'll bring that guy in and talk to him, and I'll apologize about it. And next time I'm in that situation, I give him some things to do, like, hey, you need to sit closer so that I can identify you. You need to do your part. You can't go down to the end of the bench and sulk or just watch and be a teammate. If you think you can impact, like, you've got to be on my mind. But I think the ability to embrace their shortcomings and try to fix them is one of the best qualities you can see in a leader. And then being a servant leader. I got to be honest with you, man. This is the first place I've ever been as a head. Well, I've only been two places as a head coach, but when I was at MacArthur, I worked for a guy named Ronnie Mullins, and he taught me a lot. He was the head football coach and athletic coordinator there a couple of years before I left. He was there for 3 or 4 years. And every year he'd bring me in on my eval, and he'd say, Coach, you got to delegate more. Like, I love what you're doing. I love the way you are, but you're taking on too much. And I think that if you're a head coach and you're not delegating some responsibilities out, that's not good for assistants, because you're not showing them that you ultimately trust them. So when I got to Lewisville, the change that I made is I'm okay, because I feel like I've been an underdog a lot in this game and as a player, anything. And so I've always tried to keep that assistant's mindset of I'm going to grind. And I got to Lewisville and I inherited 2 great assistants, like absolutely awesome assistants. And they had they had ways that they did even something like laundry, and it was a finely tuned machine. And I thought to myself, if I come in here, it's going to be egotistical to disrupt what they're doing just to prove that I'm the head coach. They don't mind doing it. They have a system set up. Why would I disrupt what they're doing? And I told them, look, this is why I'm doing this, guys. And I've given more responsibility to my assistants in the past 2 years than I probably ever had as a head coach previously. And that's including game planning. I'm going to be honest with you. If you watch us and we had a great defensive game, that is all John Sutton, my varsity assistant. He is a grinder. He's a wizard. He's going to be a great head coach one day. He's got me in a situation where I want to see him go be a great head coach, but I don't know what I'm going to do without him.
But you're happy if he stays.
Oh yeah. Happy if he stays. He runs things by me. He checks. We have checks and balances. Hey, how do you want to play the ball screen here? How do you want to do X, Y, Z with this personnel? I give him the thumbs up, or he'll even come to me and say, hey, Coach, how would you look at this situation in this set? And I say, well, this is what I'd like to see. And he's okay with amending how he does things. But game planning defensively, that's on him. And I go by during defensive segments. And that's another great thing. You're talking about connecting earlier with guys 8, 9, 10, 11. I think when you have an assistant that you trust and they're leading that segment of practice, and you can go by and actually interpersonally teach technique or walk by and crack a joke and they see that you actually do have a sense of humor, you can build that connection because now they're getting that one-on-one time that they might not have necessarily gotten previously if you're the commanding voice all the time.
I think a lot of coaches are naturally control freaks. There's a part of that probably makes them great. What was it like for you when you did come into Lewisville, had those assistants, started to delegate? What have been some of the positives from that?
Some of the positives is it's a lot less stressful of it all being about me, and to release that kind of control and to understand that the program is bigger than one person. I always felt like, I was under Cleve and under Tommy, and it was always about program. And even as an assistant with Cleve, I remember going in my second year and him saying, hey, you've got to have a bigger voice in this. You got to take some ownership in this and make it more about, what your thoughts are. And if you have a question, run it by me. And if we disagree, I'm going to win, but just, have ideas.
Yeah.
And so I've always kind of been like that, but releasing more control it's definitely changed the way I view the game, because now if he's controlling the defense, I may see something and we'll talk about an adjustment that I might not have seen before because my eyes are so locked in over here. So it allows me to step into that assistance role. And I think as an assistant, we obviously saw things differently than our head coach sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are helpful and sometimes they're not. But I think it allows me to step back into that role and see the game from a different aspect.
What are some of those coaches and leaders that you do follow closely, that you learn from?
Oh, man. So, I do a shootout, showcase at the beginning. We're going to get you in there coming up. But I do one at the beginning of the year. And if you look on the teams that are coming to that, there are guys that have close connections with the colony, or we have a deep relationship. And there are so many guys, I can name off a bunch of celebrity coaches that I follow and this, that, and the other. And I think we all have but locally, some of the guys that I really just absolutely admire: Joel Donaldson at Nimitz, Stephen Hamrick at Colleyville Heritage, obviously Cleve. It's good to see a guy like Scott Straley, who was in the first 8th grade class that Tyron and I ever coached, is now the head coach of Frisco Independence, and he's killing it. And it's just great to see those guys and kind of follow what they do and see what they've taken from the colony if they're former colony guys. And then I steal all the time. I am like, if I go to your game and I see something I like, it's theft. And I'll run it against you, and I'll call it the same thing you call it. And just because, that's kind of the
I love that
arrogant gamesmanship. So Tyron did that to me a couple of years ago. We were playing over at his house, and they were really good. I think it was 2 years ago, and we were running a matchup, and he ran a set, and I looked over at him, and I just shook my head, and he knew what it meant, because I was like, you're the only guy that's figured this out, and I can't do anything about it. I can't run this anymore. So I really like to follow the guys within the immediate area and see how they're doing. Like, I really admire the way you guys shoot the ball and how fast you play. Like, you guys play at a pace that's absolutely unbelievable. And we have the speed to do that. I don't know if we have the shooters, but we definitely have the speed to do it.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love to have the speed. I'd love to have the speed.
I'm going to be totally honest with you, Matt, though. When it comes to following like a college coach or a celebrity coach, there are guys that I like, but I mostly follow football coaches because I think there's a discipline in football. And I think football is probably the ultimate team game. I think we know in basketball, if you got a dude, you can cover up a lot of warts with one guy.
Yeah.
But football, there's so many numbers involved that things have to be bought in on a team level to be successful. And I remember when Pete Carroll was getting, a 5-star quarterback every year, they would ask him, hey, why are you continuing to recruit these 5-stars one after another? And his philosophy was, if you can win the quarterback competition, then we've got something special. So, that's something that I've always looked at about that game and really admired. So I follow him, Saban, a couple other. Obviously, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, so whoever the head coach, even Brian Kelly, whoever the head coach there at the time, I'm going to follow and love.
I love that you said that about the local high school coaches, because that's a big motivation for me doing this. Is that I like you, I love listening to the big time college coaches and a couple of NBA coaches here or there. Need to dabble outside of our sport a little bit more. I do need to do that. But I've just always been blown away by the high school and the small college coaches in this area and just how amazing they are, and the great stuff that they run, the cultures that they have. And so, I'm along the same way as you. I love getting to learn from those guys that are right in our backyard here.
Yeah, I tell you what, man. My first year at MacArthur, Stephen Hamrick had been the previous head coach at MacArthur, and he was so gracious. And when I had questions about that job, and we were in district with Colleyville when he went back over. And I don't know how, but we went over there and we beat them the first round of district. And I tell you what, when they came to MacArthur and played me that second time, or played us that second time, he put a coach's clinic on me. I thought I knew basketball. I did not know basketball because he has a defense he runs. I don't know if he's still running it, Red, and they wore us out. Like we couldn't make a skip pass. We couldn't get into secondary action. He just put a coach's clinic on. And I have this rule. I love coaches that make me think.
Yeah.
Like Joel Donaldson at Nimitz. It doesn't matter how great the MacArthur athletes were at that time. No matter who he brought, it was going to be a tough game because he could always put a wrinkle in to make me think. And I love that part of the game. I love the cerebral part of the game of me having to call a timeout and adjust or break away from what I would naturally do at halftime and adjust to what he's doing. Like I love the back and forth and the push and pull of that. So I always bring those guys up of being two of the best in the area. So Joel is so underrated, but just a good coach, but even better guy.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.